So, what if there was a single project that could tackle some of Canada's biggest economic challenges and, at the same time, forge a new path for Indigenous self-determination? Well, today we're looking at exactly that. It's a massive, nation-building idea, it's Indigenous-led, and it's called NeeStaNan. Let's get into it.
This right here, this sentence really gets to the heart of a huge, decades-old problem for Canada. You've got this country with an incredible wealth of resources. We're talking oil, gas, potash, grain, you name it. But so much of it is stuck, landlocked, struggling to get to global markets efficiently. And that's not just a shipping headache, it's a major economic weakness.
And this is where it gets really stark. Look at the situation right now. Canada's economy is super vulnerable to U.S. trade policies and tariffs. It's losing an estimated $20 million every single day because its resources can't get the best price on the world market. Now compare that to the future NeeStaNan is proposing, one with real economic sovereignty, a future where Canada controls its own destiny.
So, what's the solution on the table? Well, the vision behind NeeStaNan is frankly just as powerful as the actual infrastructure it plans to build.
It all starts with the name, NeeStaNan. It's a Cree word that means all of us. And you know, that's not just some slick marketing slogan. It's the entire philosophy. The idea is that this is a project for everyone, designed to lift up not just one industry or one region, but all Canadians, together. And here is what makes this completely different. This is being called economic reconciliation in action. Think about it. For decades, the model has been companies consulting with First Nations about projects on their land. This flips that script entirely. We're talking 100% Indigenous ownership and control. It's not about being consulted anymore. It's about being in the driver's seat. That's a massive shift.
And you can hear that vision so clearly from the leadership. Chief Morris Beardy of the Foxley Cree Nation says this isn't just a goal for First Nations, it's a critical goal for all of Canada. It directly links the prosperity of Indigenous peoples to the prosperity of the entire nation.
Okay, so that's the big picture, the why. But what about the how? How would a project this massive actually work on the ground? Let's break down the mechanics. First off, the scale of this thing is just immense. We're talking about a 4,400-kilometer corridor. That's a dedicated right-of-way that cuts clear across 3 provinces, connecting the heart of Canada's resources directly to a new seaport on Hudson Bay. It completely bypasses those tough, expensive mountain routes out to the west coast.
So what does that actually mean? Well, for farmers and miners on the prairies, getting their goods like grain or potash to a port is suddenly 630 kilometers shorter. That is a huge saving in time, fuel, and money. And the savings don't stop there. Once a ship leaves the port, the advantages just get bigger. A shipment of potash heading to a huge market like Brazil, its journey is cut by 3,800 kilometers. That makes Canadian products way more competitive on the world stage.
When you add it all up, you're looking at an average reduction of over 30% in the distance Canada's resources have to travel to get to market. I mean, that is an absolute game changer for the country's entire export economy. And remember, this isn't just a railway or just a pipeline. The term multimodal means it's a corridor for, well, pretty much everything. New rail lines, new pipelines, new power lines to carry clean hydroelectricity from Manitoba, modern communication lines, and of course the brand new deep water seaport. It's the whole shebang, a complete system built for the future.
All right, so we've seen the plan. Now let's talk about the first huge payoff. What does all this actually do for the Canadian economy as a whole?
The numbers here are just staggering. The projected economic boost from this one project is estimated to be $1 trillion. Let that sink in. $1 trillion injection into the Canadian economy. That's almost unheard of.
And that trillion-dollar number translates into real-world benefits. We're talking thousands and thousands of jobs, $170 billion in new tax revenue for governments. But maybe most importantly, it gives Canada more control over its own economic destiny, makes it less dependent on U.S. politics, and even strengthens its presence in the Arctic.
But look, that incredible economic payoff for the country is really only half the story. The other payoff, the one that is just as powerful, is what this project means for the First Nations who will actually own and lead it.
And to really get the impact, you have to understand the reality. For generations, so many First Nations communities have been trapped in this devastating cycle, dependent on government funding with few to no economic opportunities. And that leads to heartbreaking social crises, like suicide rates 3 times the national average, and a shocking lack of basics, like safe drinking water.
NeeStaNan is designed to shatter that cycle. The project is projected to generate $80 billion in benefits every year for First Nations. And this isn't just about money. It's about providing communities with the resources to solve their own problems on their own terms.
And here's the roadmap to get there. It all starts with ownership. Once you have control, you can set your own environmental standards. You can make sure jobs and training go to your own people. The revenue that comes in can be pumped directly into things like better housing, healthcare, and schools. It's a clear blueprint for regaining the prosperity that was lost generations ago.
And what's so powerful is that this isn't seen as inventing something new. It's about reclaiming a history. The project's philosophy is rooted in the fact that trade and commerce have been in the DNA of indigenous peoples for centuries. This is about reconnecting with that legacy and bringing that prosperity into the 21st century.
So it really leaves us with this one big question. Could a project like this, one that pairs economic independence for the country with true economic self-determination for its First Peoples, be the new blueprint for how Canada builds its future? It's a pretty powerful vision of shared prosperity, and one that could truly transform the nation.